What's up, guys? Welcome to Western Hunter 101. Today we're going to get into putting that first tag in your pocket. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk a little bit about the first questions that you kind of need to answer as far as putting that tag in your pocket or picking out the tag that you do want to put in your pocket. And so for me, it's not so much a just getting a tag. You want to put the best possible tag that you can in your pocket. You want the best one. You know, the odds are already stacked against us as you know, non-resident traveling hunters. The odds are already not in our favor hardly at all. So what we want to do is we want to stack as many odds as we can in our favor, right? I mean, obviously that makes the most sense. So in doing that, I think the first odd that you can put in your favor is putting the right tag, the best possible tag that you can in your pocket. And that's going to start by answering a few questions. So the first question that you need to answer is, what hunt do you even want to go on? When you picture yourself out there, you know, when you're daydreaming about it, what are you doing? What do you see yourself doing? Where are you at? What's the terrain look like? What's the topography look like? What does the vegetation look like as far as, is it, you know, dense north facing slope, dark timber? Is it big, wide open, you know, south facing slopes where you're glassing big open country? What do you picture yourself doing while you're out there? That's the first question that you need to answer. And the reason for that is you want to be doing hunts. You want to be drawing tags that are going to put you in those situations. You don't want to be looking for big, wide open country to glass and spot and stalk and then end up at a bunch of really dense timber or real thick oak brush or something like that. You want to be where you want to be because that's going to make you hunt better. That's going to have a big effect on, you know, your drive to get out and do it. If you end up somewhere that doesn't offer the terrain and the topography that you want to be in, it's already going to have a negative effect on your hunt right off the get-go. So that's step number one, in my opinion. Step number two is you need to know what is actually available to you for this coming year. And that's going to all depend on when you get started. So if you get started before application season starts, you're obviously going to have the most opportunity in front of you. If you're somewhere in the middle, yeah, you might have missed a few opportunities this year. You can pick those up next year, but you still are probably going to have some opportunities available. So it's all going to depend on where you land in this application period. That's what's going to determine what tags are available, how much opportunity you actually have available to pick from for this upcoming season. So to do that, we need to know when these applications take place. We need to know when they start and when their deadlines are. You can't apply if you don't even know when to apply. So that's step number one, in my opinion. After you've decided what type of hunt, and this is all going to go back into your e-scouting. You're going to be doing, you know, a lot of guys think of e-scouting, you know, after they've got their tag, they think it's just making a hunt plan for that hunt. It really all starts before you ever put the tag in your pocket. You need to know, you know, that tag is going to have everything that you want before you worry about applying for it. So once you figured out where you want to hunt, the type of hunt that you want to go on, the next thing is figuring out what tags are actually available to you. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down through the application calendar. We're going to start in December, and then we're going to end up back in December. Because application season basically starts the 1st of December. That's when everything kind of kicks off. So hunting season's hardly over. Application season already kicks off. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go down through it. And I'm going to start with December. We're going to work our way all the way through the calendar. And I'm just going to, you know, month by month, I'm going to say what applications are opening up that month. And then if there are any application deadlines that take place in that month. That way, when we get through this, you're going to know, depending on where you are today, what the date is on the calendar today, the day you're watching this, you're going to know what is in front of you, what opportunities actually exist for you right now. And the best thing to do is to get started right now. Even if you're not planning on doing a hunt this fall, it's best to go ahead and get started. You know, a lot of the guys that go through Western Hunter 101, they start out with 0 points, and that's perfectly fine. A lot of us did. There's nothing at all wrong with starting with 0 points. But if you know that you're going to be going on a hunt, you need to learn this stuff right now. Even if you're not planning on going this coming year, if you can get started right now, maybe you're going to go next year. If you can have a point under your belt to throw into some of these draws next year, that could really up your odds on the quality of tag, your first tag that you can put in your pocket. So there's no need to hesitate. Just because you're not planning on going on a hunt this fall, that's no reason to just sit around and do nothing. The time to start is right now. And the reason I say that is you don't want to get into this and get a few years down the road and then decide you want to figure the rest of it out. You don't want to pick out just one tag and go on that hunt for 3 or 4 years and then realize you want to do something else and then start, because you're already that far behind at that point. Every season that passes by is a season you're not going to get back. So the time to start is right now. So whatever the date getting tongue tied here. Whatever the date is on the calendar right now is the day you need to start. So let's just jump into this application calendar. So again, we're going to start down here in December because that's basically when the application season starts for the following year. So in December, Idaho General non-resident tags, they changed it in 2025. 2025 was the first year that they went to complete draw system. So it's all brand new. It just took place and they've turned it into an actual draw. No points, no anything. It's a random draw. And that starts the beginning of December. This year, I believe the draw deadline was December the 15th. So moving on from there, we're gonna go ahead and jump into January. So in January, the Wyoming elk, deer, and pronghorn application season starts. Also, the Arizona elk and pronghorn season application season starts, and the New Mexico application season starts. So you've got 3 states that their application seasons are gonna start in January. Also in January, the application deadline for Wyoming elk is going to take place. Next month, February, the Arizona elk and pronghorn deadline is going to be in February. March, Colorado elk, deer, and pronghorn. Montana general elk and deer tags, and also the Montana limited entry elk, deer, and pronghorn tags, the Utah elk, deer, and pronghorn, and the Nevada elk, deer, and pronghorn. All those application seasons are going to start in March. Also in March is going to be the New Mexico application deadline. Moving on to April. So in April, you're going to have the Colorado elk, deer, and pronghorn deadline, the Montana general, and the Montana limited entry tags. The deadline for them is going to be at the beginning of April. Also, Utah elk, deer, and pronghorn application deadline is in April. Next up is May. So in May, you're going to have Idaho come up again. So in Idaho, they have their general tags, and then they also have their controlled tags. Those are basically the same as other states' limited entry tags. They're better, more top-end tags. So in May, that's when the application seasons are going to start for them for elk, deer, and pronghorn. Also, the Arizona deer application season for that's going to kick off in May as well. And then as far as deadlines go, you're going to have your Wyoming deer and pronghorn deadline in May. You're also going to have your Nevada elk, deer, and pronghorn deadline is in May. Starting in June, you've got Colorado's second draw. So any tags that weren't drawn in the first draw or any tags that were returned prior to the secondary draw, that's going to take place in June. And also the Montana alternate list is going to come out. So you're going to be able to put your name on the Montana alternate list. If you didn't draw a tag, you can sign up for the alternate list. If a tag comes available, they'll shoot you an email. Pretty sure it goes in just first come, first serve. I don't know. I can't remember if it's random or not, but either way, you can put your name on that list starting in June. As far as deadlines go, Idaho controlled hunts, the deadline for them is in June. Also, Arizona deer deadline is in June. Moving on to July. July is when you're going to start being able to buy some preference points for Wyoming and Montana. So Wyoming's preference points, Montana preference and bonus points all go on sale starting in July. Also in July is going to be the Nevada leftover return list. Those are going to be available as a first come, first serve basis. You're going to purchase them over the counter if they're available. You put it in your cart, check out. It's your tag, so there's no draw involved at that point. I've heard of people getting some really, really good tags off of that Nevada list. That's going to start in July as well. No deadlines in July. Moving on to August. So in August, that's when your Colorado over-the-counter tags are going to go on sale. So those are going to be your second and third rifle elk tags. Also, any leftovers or returns. Those are also going to go on sale as a first come, first served basis for Colorado. And then Idaho is going to start their leftover and return tag sale. Moving on to September, you're still going to have your Idaho leftover return tags. So the Colorado over-the-counter second and third rifle elk tags, those are available all the way up into season as well. So you don't have to pick it up in August. You can pick it up when you get there for your hunt, if that's your plan. September deadlines. So Montana bonus points. September is your deadline to purchase your bonus points for Montana. And then in October, your Wyoming preference points. The deadline to purchase those is going to be in October. And then in November, you're going to have a chance at Arizona over-the-counter deer tags. Those are going to be archery tags. Those generally sell out within minutes, so that's not a great opportunity, but it's there. And then we're going to end in December again, and that's going to be when your Montana preference points deadline is. So that's the calendar. That's when things start. That's when deadlines happen. So depending upon where you are today, on that calendar is going to depend on what's available to you. But again, like I said, don't wait. Just because if you're not planning on going on a hunt this year, don't wait. Jump in right now, pick up them points, put those in the bank, save them for next year. That's going to give you more opportunity sooner. That's going to make it that much easier to put that much better of a tag in your pocket, possibly. If you are planning on going on a hunt this year, obviously the earlier you start, the more options you have. If you're a long ways, if you're deep into this calendar already and, season's coming up and you're wanting to put a tag in your pocket, obviously you're going to be limited on what's available to you. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's still a lot of opportunity there, if you're willing to sacrifice some things. So you're just going to have to answer that for yourself, of whether you're willing to invest that money into that hunt this year or if you should wait till next year. It's strictly up to you. I obviously cannot make that decision for you, but those are going to be your opportunities that you have in front of you. So now you're going to be able to take that information and you're going to be able to put that to work for you. Okay, so now we've determined the calendar, what is actually available in front of you right now. Now you can start digging into individual units, individual tags. You're going to be able to pull up draw odds for, because there's no sense of looking at hunts that you can't draw anyways this year. Yeah, obviously that's a waste of time for you to do this year getting started. Now you can narrow down your focus on exactly what is available, in front of you. Now you're going to be able to determine, you're going to be able to go through and evaluate these units for draw odds. What can you do this year, with 0 points? What options are there? And there's a lot, there's a lot of tags that you can draw with 0 points. You've got New Mexico and Idaho. Those are both complete random draw states. So you always have a chance there. You've got just as good a chance drawing that tag your first year as somebody, that's been applying for 10 years. You've got just as good a chance of drawing that tag as they do. So it's lots of opportunities, for you to put in for these different tags. It's not just, it used to be everybody thought you had to do Colorado over-the-counter archery, which doesn't exist anymore, or, a Colorado over-the-counter rifle hunt. And not to knock those hunts by any means, but there's a lot of hunts, that are pretty decent that are kind of sleepers. A lot of people don't know about them. So if you want a little bit more advice, if you want to dig into this a little bit deeper, in Western Hunter 101, we start out with evaluating all of these tags. I show you all the tools to use to see what is actually available. We go through a lot of application strategy. I point out a lot of different nuances and things like that. There's some really good sleeper tags out there that not everybody knows about that are leaps and bounds better than some of the more well-known tags. And I think the reason for that is because they're not as well known. So, they're definitely not as popular. You don't have to deal with nearly as much hunting pressure, things like that. So if you want to get into this a lot deeper, go check out Western Hunter 101. And if this information was helpful, if you got some value out of this, I'd sure appreciate it if you give me a like and a subscribe, and stick around. Be on the lookout for more of these videos. We're going to get into a lot of stuff. That's all I do is help new Western hunters get out there. I teach you the entire system, all the different states, their systems, how their points work, all the different nuances, everything. So if you have any questions, or if you're ready to get started planning your first hunt this year, check out Western Hunter 101. Shoot me a message, reach out. We'll get you set up, and we'll get you started planning your first hunt.